to Laser... Oh, shit. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Laser Cat Lefty's YouTube channel. Thank you for being here. I've got more shit to respond to. Again, I'm responding to this... Not for the... I've already watched these videos, and I don't disagree with a lot of what they have to say, but it's the things I do have to disagree with that I hold to my beliefs. And, by the way, if you end up seeing this, dude, I am not insulting you. I am not trying to hurt you in any way. I am just responding to your content. That's it. And yeah, if you disagree with how I'm wrong, please correct me. I don't mind that. But if you correct me because you think that, oh, I'm just evil because I'm responding to your content. God damn it, Steam. That I'm, not a good person, or you're attacking me personally, I will go after you with fucking everything I've got. Anyways, with that bit of insurance out of the way, let's watch the content. A little bit of it, and then I'm going to pause, and then I'm going to respond to that bit, and then I don't have this exactly planned out. I'm just kind of winging it, like all my videos.
The highest art of warfare is not to fight at all, but to subvert anything of value in the country of your enemy, until such time that the perception of reality of your enemy is screwed up to such an extent that he does not perceive you as an enemy. The moment you bring a country to the point of almost total demoralization, when nothing works anymore, when you are not sure whether it is right or wrong, good and bad, but there's no division between evil and good, when even the leaders of church sometimes say, well, violence for the sake of justice, especially social justice, is justified. And we listen to them and say, yeah, probably it's true. Is it true? No, it is not true. Violence is not justified, especially for the sake of quote-unquote social justice introduced by Marxist-Leninism.
As details of the Kenosha shooting were being revealed to us on Twitter last night, Communist partisan Vorsh decided to take issue with his friend, a person called Destiny, who had a different take on the situation to him. After a while, Destiny came on...
Okay, I'm pausing it here because mainly I don't want to get fucking wrecked by YouTube. It is my personal belief and my personal belief system that different views are good. See, I can't be 100% right, so I can make my views out of other people's views that are more correct or better, or more knowledgeable on a subject. And when you have two idiots like Vorsht and Destiny, who are leftists, I haven't seen a lot of Destiny's content, to be honest, so if you watch this and I'm wrong, please make a response to me, please. I'd love the free fucking advertisement. Now, what I'm gonna say is different views can, change my opinion, but when you're objectively wrong, you're just objectively wrong. Violence for the sake of any reason is bad, right? Unless that reason is to protect yourself, in which case violence is a necessary evil. I use that word a lot. My view of necessary evil is... God, this is going to sound so bad. My view of a necessary evil is something that is inherently bad being used for the sake of good. Self-defense, the self-defense strategy in court. See, if somebody charges you with a knife and you put 6 in their chest, I have no problem with that person dying. They charged you with a knife, they were attempting to violence, you stopped that violence, meaning they weren't... And again, if somebody charges you with a knife, they're probably not only going to kill you, they're going to kill other people. So therefore, taking out one life versus many is a good thing. But if you have a group of people charging you with knives, should you just lay your gun down? No. Fuck no. Again, he's going to state the shit a little bit better than I could, but there is a moralism to this shit. You have moral objectives. Oh shit. Nope, back up. Like, there are things that are objectively evil, right? Like murder and shit. And I can see where Vorsh would be coming from if he actually believed in any of the shit he says, because he goes back on his own words several times. Like, if I wanted to make a response video to him, I could literally use his own words to beat him to death. So, let's just watch, and I'm gonna shut the fuck up now.
To the stream to discuss it with Vorsh, and this conversation was illuminating. Destiny approaches this from the position that a person is justified in defending themselves with lethal force if they are being attacked by a mob in the street. A sensible position. Vorsh's position is that you should disarm yourself and submit to the mob. The pair go through the footage, and this is the conclusion that Destiny reaches.
Okay, so every single person he shot was literally within arm's reach of him, which
Yeah.
is a surprising amount of restraint given the circumstances, in my opinion.
I don't necessarily think that justifies it.
But the thing is, that does justify him, doesn't it? You are justified in defending yourself from any attackers if you think they pose a genuine threat to your life. And as we can see from the footage, and that we're going to go through in detail, it seems that the young man being attacked had a completely valid reason to think that he was actually in mortal danger.
So let's assume if he was justified for the earlier shooting up to this point, let's assume that. Do you think that all of the self-defense here is justified, or do you think it's not justified, and
No.
why?
Because this is an incredibly dangerous moral standard that we're setting right here, where anytime you shoot someone in public and people come to stop you, you can keep killing people because you keep exercising self-defense until you're standing on top of a mountain of corpses.
Okay, they don't. He doesn't really go back and cover this point real well, so I've seen pretty much through the video, so I'm sorry for pausing it here, but I disagree. You are justified to the point where you are standing on a bunch of corpses. Why? Because those corpses were, prior to being corpses, trying to fucking kill you. Skin color does not matter. And if this was a black guy and, I could claim that entire mob was going to lynch him, I bet Vorsh would be like, no, that was totally justified, yeah. Pussy. I call a lot of people a lot of names, but Vorsh, if you want to fight me, like with your words, you'll lose. And it's not because I'm so much smarter than you. It's because I do change my point of view, and you won't. He probably never changes point of views. I've seen a couple of his vids. The only reason I unsubscribed from him is because he's terrible. He's a lying sack of shit, basically. He attacked a bunch of people on the right. Actually, one of my favorite videos of his, the first video I ever saw, he wasn't attacking a person, he was correcting them. Showing like, hey, I'm willing to extend my hand. Then the next video I saw was him attacking people. And I was like, his videos can't all just be him just railing on the right, can they? And then I, kept going through his vid. I went through a couple more of his vids, and I was like, yeah, okay, well, he's being a sack of shit, and I shouldn't listen to him. And I unsubscribed. But in this situation, he's 100% wrong, in my opinion. So let's continue with the video before, I make this an hour rant again. This is the second time I've tried recording this video.
Yes, and that goes in all circumstances for anything that is attacking you. If I am attacked by a pack of hyenas and I kill every single hyena that keeps charging at me, I am morally justified. If I am a black man staring down a lynch mob and these people keep running at me with the obvious intention of lynching me, then I am justified in killing every single one of those people. It is this right to self-defense that makes Doom such a morally uncomplicated video game. In fact, entire genres are built on the idea that if you are simply attacked willy-nilly by enemies who do nothing but try to kill you, then you are completely morally justified in killing them instead. From the perspective of the individual being attacked, you don't know what's going to happen to you in the near future, but from the evidence of your own eyes, and from the things that they're shouting and the threats that they're throwing at you, and in this case, the attacks on your person, it seems like they're trying to really hurt you. And you have every right to defend yourself from every single person, animal, or demon that is involved in this process. And only a lunatic would ask you to do the opposite, because this is you acting in your direct personal self-interest, as you have every right to do in a situation where your life is in danger. What Vorsh is doing, whether he knows it or not, is what Yuri Bezmenov was talking about: demoralization. A way of trying to get you to think that you can't or shouldn't stand up for yourself. It's totally counter to any interest that you as an individual might have to put yourself in the hands of the mob.
Like, you
Okay,
morally,
so then
morally,
let's say,
what you're justifying here
let
is.
me ask, please stop preaching. Please stop this.
Why
It
are
is
you?
so
Wait,
fucking
wait,
cringe to me.
wait. Come
Okay?
on. Wait, seriously, preaching?
No. Yeah, yes. This whole like pulpit of like standing on a fucking pile of bodies.
I think you've had a
don't
lot of
care.
bad experiences with left.
No.
A lot of people have had a lot of bad experiences with left-leaning people, because it seems that a lot of left-leaning people are total scum, Vorsh. Let's take, for example, Anthony Huber, a man with many charges of domestic abuse and battery and the use of a dangerous weapon. This is not exactly a good guy. The other man killed by Kyle Rittenhouse as he defended himself was Joseph Rosenbaum, a convicted paedophile who spent 12 years in jail and racked up a...
This is preaching. Okay, this is what I want to talk about a little bit more. I was going to wait until he got to this part. He starts preaching. Like, oh, these are bad people that he killed. Yeah, no, I don't care. They were attacking him. Regardless of how bad they are, dude, they were attacking him, and you should focus more on that. Yeah, whatever. You can talk about, like, how bad they are for attacking him and shit, but bringing up other incidents that they could have, I don't know. I'm not gonna give them the benefit of doubt and say, become better people, because they wouldn't be attacking a dude if they were better people, now would they? Sorry, I need a drink of tea. A drink of tea to relax my vocal cords here for a second. But you cannot just say, ooh, yeah, these people have prior convictions, so they're obviously scum of the earth. No. Some violent offenders come out of jail better people. Others just don't come out of jail at all because either they were harmed, like violently harmed by the people they were put with, or they were killed. In the case of pedophiles, I have no fucking shits to give about them. But everyone else that, goes into jail should be reformed. And we have a huge problem in our prison system, where it's just trying to keep X amount of prisoners in. Not, actually caring if the prisoners are guilty of crimes, but and this extends to our justice system in a bit. Like, oh, well, we need X amount of prisoners, otherwise we're going to lose this prison. And that's the problem with private prisons. Everyone in prison isn't always guilty. There are people who are 100% innocent, provably innocent, sitting in jail right now. But I also don't believe that all of them are good people. For the most part, I don't believe that our police forces are to blame. I don't believe our actual justice system is to blame, but both need fixing, definitely, because of other reasons that have been brought up to me. And I am tired of hearing about oh, these are bad people, Stop fucking preaching, guy, come on. It's so obvious you're preaching for the right. I don't give a shit what side of the aisle you're on. I will bitch slap you both as equals. If you're being stupid and using dumbass excuses, I will find you. And I have a particular set of skills. And I will make fun of you. Another sip out of my big ass mug. Anyways, let's continue with this bullshit.
Long list of violent offences while in prison. These are the people that Vorsh is currently standing in defence of and suggesting that actually maybe you might want to lay down your arms and let these lunatics, these criminals, these paedophiles and domestic abusers mete out justice, mob justice towards you. What an insane position. This is a position so insane that Destiny understandably simply can't believe that Vorsh is on the side of the mob, and so he tries to reformulate it again and again and again, getting down to trying to make it as simple as possible as he can for Vorsh.
So I'm asking a very simple question. Let's say that I defend myself, like in an okay manner, one time with a gun, okay? And we both agree that it's justified. And then I try to remove myself from the situation after that. If people charge me because they think that I was unjustified and it looks like they're going to kill me for it, should I just say, well, okay, you're right, and let them kill me?
You for it. We can't assume that about everyone who runs up to you.
Why would we assume that the angry mob that is chasing after you has kicked you to the floor and then is beating you while you're on the floor?
I think somebody who would show the entire video could do a little bit better than this. And I'm going to suggest some people to watch. If you're watching my political content here, thank you. But more importantly, if people are attacking you, you have the right to put a bullet in their fucking heads. I don't give a shit who you are, where you are, if you are being violently attacked and you cannot leave the situation. If you cannot remove yourself, you have full right to blow some fucking heads off. But that's different from, if the police want to take you in, let them do it. Literally, that's better than, getting shot to death by the fucking cops. Doesn't matter your skin color. But I'm going to continue with the video very shortly. I've got one more thing to say. It's very important to me. I'm going to bring up context. There are people who've already brought up context. Watch their videos. They're probably more well put together than this one. And it's just kind of fucked up to see this shit happen to anybody. Oh yeah, let the mob attack you. Just let them do that thing. I ain't letting them do shit. If a mob's chasing me and wants to kill me, I'm gonna kill each and every fucking one of them, or at least as many as I can before I go out. And I would suggest you do the same. If you're being chased by a mob of people, and they have intent to kill you, and you have the right to believe so. Now, if they're reporters and shit, obviously they're not going to kill you. They just want to scoop. And in which case, opening fire would just be a bit unjustified there. Even though they'll murder your fucking reputation. And no, I'm not going to stop being a hard ass on them. Anybody who attacks you, removing reputation from it, deserves what they're gonna fucking get if they attack you, intent on killing you. Again, a reporter would probably never kill you because that's not a story they want to run. But if people are chasing you and you have belief, other than reporters, that they have intent to harm, you are absolutely justified in pulling your weapon out, making it known that you have a weapon to scare at least a few of them away. And if they keep charging you after that point, firing upon them is the answer. And he's not going to say that. Well, he's probably going to iterate that in some way. I was wrong before. Again, I haven't watched the video all the way in, so I'm just going to let it play.
Isn't in the position to do you life-threatening injuries. Why? Why would we give a convicted abuser and a convicted paedophile who are attacking a man in the street the benefit of the...
Preaching. -1 point. I'm going to start a point system from now on. Every time I watch one of these videos, I'm just going to remove a point for every fucking time they preach, or every time they say the same thing over and over again. I've probably done that here too, so that's remove 1 point from me, but I'm just going to do that from now on. Every time I hear the same shit repeated, I'm just going to remove a point.
The doubt over the man they are attacking. In what realm of reality does that make any sense?
Okay, hold on. I'm trying so hard because you're being so dishonest, okay?
How
And
am
I don't
being
know if you can
dishonest?
tell.
Wait, my standards here have been completely consistent. In both instances, I have said that if the person who is chasing initiates and the person who has the gun verbally...
Vosh, one of the guys chasing this guy literally has a pistol drawn. Come on, dude. You're
Okay.
really gonna do this?
yeah.
Destiny's statement is completely true here. We can see it in his hand as he's being shot in the arm in defense by the guy on the floor. We can see that he is pulling the gun around, and afterwards we can see the gun still in his hand as the attacker clutches his wounded arm. The idea that this person wasn't a clear and present danger to Kyle Rittenhouse on the floor, having been kicked there and beaten by the other two who had already attacked him, is insane. You would have to be monumentally dishonest in order to present this argument, wouldn't you, Vorsh? And the thing is, they attacked Kyle Rittenhouse first. We know this because we have video footage of the first person he shot, who got shot in the head, who was running up to him and reaching for his gun. Now, I'm not going to show any of the footage because you know what YouTube is like, but it's easy to find. But this is the frame that I took when after he's run up to him, and you can see that he's reaching out, his arms are up. This was completely initiated by the mob. They attacked him. Vorsh is completely in the wrong here, and he knows it.
Really? You
Well,
don't think that it's fair to assume
the person
that
with the
a ton of
pistol
people are
hadn't
chasing
fired.
you?
The person with the pistol hadn't fired. They were like right up close. It seems like that was more of an attempt at apprehension than it was at murder.
This is what an attempt at apprehension looks like in Vorsh's mind. Being kicked to the ground by people who are chasing you, beaten, and then having to shoot a guy who's drawing a gun on you.
Minus 2 points. We are up to 2 points.
This is what Vorsh thinks a reasonable person would think in that situation. Think, well, no, they're just trying to apprehend me. What absolute nonsense. And again, Vorsh, why are you standing in defense of a mob of convicted woman abusers and pedophiles who have a violent history? What do you think you stand to gain by defending?
3 points. My god. Dude, just stop repeating yourself. It's fucking easy. If you're gonna repeat yourself, at least leave a little bit of space in between repeats. That's 3 fucking points you're missing now. 3. Every video starts off at 10. And you are already down by fucking 3. Now, I could be wrong. I could be wrong here. I don't think he's got, memory loss. I think he's a smart guy. He's got at least some brains in there somewhere. But he keeps fucking repeating himself, and I get tired of this shit. I'm gonna pull up another one of his videos next, and if he keeps fucking repeating himself, that's it. End of video. Like, legit.
These people, Vorsh? I'm really curious. Let me know when you do a stream about this to your dumbass audience who buy your obvious lies and your obvious lack of knowledge on every subject, which we'll cover shortly, don't worry.
In fact, by the way, I just want to say, if you're running from someone or you fall down and you turn around and there's somebody pointing a pistol at you 2 feet in front of you and they haven't fired, I think that's more of an indication of non-lethal intent than it is lethal intent. That is,
Really?
honestly, on the part of the person with the pistol, probably a legitimate attempt at apprehending you than it is killing you.
There is no way that I believe that Vorsh believes this. I mean, if you just look at the video, he is in the process of bringing the gun around. He stood right there. It's all happening so quickly. The guy's trying to defend himself, and he actually prevents himself what appears to be from being shot. And Vorsh is like, well, no, this looks like an attempt at apprehension. That's such an obvious lie. And it's such a thunderous lie that I love Destiny's response to all of this. He just can't believe that Vorsh would tell a lie this bold.
Okay, I'm gonna say this really slow for you, okay?
Patronize. It'll
If
work.
you... I'm trying, okay? As hard as I can.
Vorsh is so stupid, Destiny can't even patronize him. I don't think Vorsh realizes just how much of a cell phone that is. Vorsh, what you've just done there is make yourself look so stupid that Destiny can't even patronize you. And he's trying to, but you're still not getting it. He's trying, Vorsh, he's trying.
If you defend yourself in a morally justified way against somebody, okay? So don't say, I don't know if it was justified, again, for the third time, okay? If you defend yourself in a morally justified way, and then you retreat from that situation, and a mob is chasing you down, and it's possible that they'll kill you if they get their hands on you, do you think you're obligated to submit yourself to the mob?
I actually have to think about that. Generally, I think, yeah.
Here, Vorsh has just validated every single lynching that has ever occurred in the history of the United States. He is adopting a position so fundamentally and categorically immoral that it is no surprise that Destiny just can't believe.
4. I'm counting all of those repeats there as 4 because Destiny was at least trying to make his point and stuttering a bit. But you, dude, you're not stuttering, you're not doing any of that shit, you're not nervous, you're not upset. So you get fucking 4 points reducted. That's 6. He's down to 6. For those of you who can't fucking count, stop watching my channel, go back to preschool. But that is 4 points removed. All you have to do is for the rest of this fucking video, not repeat yourself shit tons. Vorsh, however the fuck you want to say it, is an idiot. Yes, we get that. We as the audience understand this. So stop fucking preaching and get on with your point.
What he's hearing. What person in their right mind would submit themselves to the justice of convicted criminals acting as part of a mob, an armed mob, who are in the process of beating you to the floor? How is that in your interest? How is it good for you as an individual, as a person who has not aggressed anyone in this situation and is being targeted, again, by a mob, to surrender to this mob and, I don't know, hope and pray that they don't just kill you? The problem with tyranny is that it comes with arbitrary violence. That is, violence without warrant.
I'm sorry, boys, but I gotta say this. I have to say this. Sorry for breathing into the mic there. Anybody who attacks you, yes, you are justified in shooting them. No, this does not mean you are justified. Well, actually, it does mean you're justified in their killing, but it does not mean that moral philosophy changes at all. Whatever you would not have unto you, do not do unto others. Basic line from the Bible, if you want to listen to that book, but it's also a really good line, period. See, it basically says, whatever you wouldn't do, or you wouldn't have been done, or have somebody do to you, don't do it to others. On a very basic level here, I'm trying to explain this to this dude. You have to have an understanding of basic morality to understand why self-defense is one of the biggest things ever. And why is it one of my biggest points. Because self-defense, genuinely when it's actually used righteously, is that person has a knife, they're charging at me, they're going to kill me, and they're going to keep fucking killing after I'm dead. So if I put a bullet in them, they're not going to do that. Or if I, defend myself with hand-to-hand combat, they cannot hurt others. That's how I view self-defense. And if you don't view it that way, just tell me in the comments or whatever. Not like I read those. But hey, maybe I will this time. All 2 comments. You cannot have a double standard. If a mob is coming after you, they're not going to stop at you. So putting down the mob, or at least a few of its members, could save somebody else's life. Which means it is self-defense. 100%. We get that. Stop beating us over the head. Laser. I understand. Chill. You know what? I'm going to stop pointing that out. I'm going to, like, continue with the point system, because it's probably going to have, like, negative points when I'm done. But this video is actually, like, something I believe in, or at least some of it. Again, he's wrong in some areas, and he doesn't bring up some things that I wanted him to bring up. So, let's continue.
Violence without restraint, violence that cannot be held to account. This is the precise point of having your guns. This is the point of being able to make sure that tyrants cannot simply do what they will with you. This was the very purpose of the Second Amendment. Your founding fathers completely understood that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, or else the individual loses their liberty. There is a reason that the constitutionalists are currently invoking Heinlein and praising this young man for defending himself against a communist mob of criminals. This is insane. Like, the idea that this guy is somehow in the wrong, which is what Vaush is trying to argue, is nuts. And it's such a bizarre position that Vaush himself clearly doesn't even believe it. He clearly doesn't believe it. If he were in this man's position, he would have shot too. But why? Why is it wrong, Vaush? Why is it wrong for Joe Rittenhouse to defend himself against a mob of paedophile-abusing leftist insurrectionists? Why is that wrong?
Because otherwise you could ethically justify killing an theoretically unlimited number of people as they continue to try to apprehend you for what they consider to be an unjust murder.
Firstly, you've made up their intentions. You don't know. But secondly, if they're trying to take your gun from you, they're beating you in the street, and they struck first, which they did, it's perfectly morally justifiable for it to end up looking like a Doom level Vaush. You don't understand. You don't, under any circumstances, have any right to try and simply kill someone on the street because you think they did something wrong. Again, I just want to stress, that's why lynching is bad, you brainlet.
That's -5 points. Wow. No, I'm joking. That's -5 points. So you're losing so many points. Wow, you're down to 5. My God, it's insane. This man just keeps. And that one's not for repeating. That one's just for a stupid point that everyone agrees with already who's watching it. Like, shit, if you really want people to learn, you don't fucking build mobs, you build a fucking justice system. Justice is blind, but she's not a fucking mob. She's a courtroom. Why? Because in court, evidence is shown that a crime was committed. And not only evidence was shown that a crime was committed, but the person they're trying to put behind bars was the person who committed it. Those are the two things.
Because morally you have to understand, even in individual circumstance it can be justifiable. In this case, because you're working with limited information.
So, no, we're in the moral vacuum. If we have a disagreement on a fundamental moral level. We don't need to make it more complicated than that. We disagree right here. We don't have to go any further. Okay.
Well, sure, yeah. So I think the consequences of accepting the idea that you can continue to kill people who aggress on you after you've killed another person are far worse than the ones in which you must submit to them. Yes, vastly so. Yes, absolutely. Because otherwise, every active shooter situation would turn into one lone man standing over a pile of corpses.
Yes, Vaush. If there is a crazed mob of communists who lunge at you, who charge at you, and you start gunning them down, you are justified until they stop trying to kill you. And Vaush is like, well, I mean, don't kill all of them. Dude, if they keep attacking, reload. What are you talking about? These people do not have the right to simply kill you in the street. Lynching, Vaush, is bad, and you should defend yourself from it. Again, it's worth bringing up Yuri Bezmenov's active measures. These people will try and convince you that actually evil is good and good is evil. You have the right to defend yourself. Use it.
we're not talking about if he had aggressed. We're talking about if somebody else thinks they'd aggressed. Because in the moral vacuum, you agreed that if a mob thinks that you've done something wrong, then you have to submit yourself to the justice of the mob.
Yes,
That's what you said in a moral vacuum.
The difference is in the where I said submit yourself to the justice of a mob. I'm referring to not murdering people with your firearm.
What makes
Murder, murder, murder. You know the difference between murder and self-defense? The threat. If somebody poses no threat and you kill them, that's murder. If somebody poses a threat and you kill them, that's self-defense. The act of posing a threat, and this is why I believe in courtroom justice, not bullshit mob justice. Because mob justice basically means there is no justice. If I can get everyone to believe that X person's a pedophile and all pedophiles should burn, that is murder. If they defend themselves, they are defending themselves against a mob of murderous people. It is what the mob thinks is reality. No, not the truth. Not any of the objective lines here. It is what the mob thinks, which is bullshit.
makes the lives of this communist mob of criminals more valuable than the life of the person that they're intending to attack? Why should you lay down your arms lest they kill themselves in their attempt to kill you? If you are forced to defend yourself from these people, then they get what they fucking deserve, Vorsh.
Because everyone else would be
Gotcha.
trying to stop them.
Do you remember Ahmaud Arbery or whatever?
Mhm.
The black guy, I think he's the one chased down by the people in the truck?
He was.
Do you think they were justified in killing him because they thought that guy had been like aggressing earlier on other people?
That is a... I actually genuinely cannot believe you think these are even remotely comparable situations. If Ahmaud Arbery wants to like punch a person who he thinks is about to lynch him, who ended up lynching him, I think that's perfectly fine and justified. If Ahmaud Arbery had had a gun and there were people who rolled up on him unarmed and Ahmaud Arbery started firing into the cars, I would not think that is justified.
So they need to wait for him to start shooting at them?
No, they need to demonstrate an intent or ability to engage in lethal force, which is the standard we have for the legal exercise of self-defense.
You can see how untenable his position is by the stress that's clearly evident in his face. We have that, Vorsh. We have lots of that. They were armed, they were beating him, they wouldn't let him leave. What more do we need? That seems to be perfectly sufficient.
You're attempting to virtue signal right now. It's funny that you would accuse me
I'm
of
not
preaching.
attempting to
The only
No,
reason you're
I'm
hedging
not
on this
attempting to
issue
virtue
and
signal.
laughing is because
No.
you're trying to get my chat to go like, oh, the socialist thinks it would have been okay
No,
to kill
your
Ahmaud
chat are
Arbery
social-
if you
they don't-
change
your
every
chat doesn't
circumstance.
Your chat doesn't care about black people. They're socialists, okay? I would never try to virtue signal your chat. It's never going to work, okay?
Why would you talk about my community this way? I don't talk that poorly of your community.
Because I know, boy, you talk poorly about fuck my community, okay? Half of them agree with you right now, so fuck my community, okay?
This is actually getting into sort of based Radcheck territory for Destiny, which I'm really impressed with. Yes, if his own audience is suddenly like, well, no, actually, maybe we should be communist subverters. Maybe we should give ourselves over to the mob when they're trying to beat you. Maybe you don't have a defense of yourself legitimately, morally. Then yeah, those people can get fucked. And I'd expect anyone to do the same for me.
What do you think it is when a mob of people come after you screaming that you just shot a guy? What do you think they're going to do to you, Vosh?
If you drop the gun and get down, I think...
They will beat you to death. Thank you, Vosh. Thank you for that insightful view. They've showed evidence that, these people were violent. They had violent intent. He was justified. Anybody who says otherwise is just a fucking idiot. But you know what that makes it? Boys and girls, that makes it 6 points. Because our host did it a couple times. I think I marked it down already, but 6 points removed sounds nice. And we're not even fucking halfway through this video. I'm gonna stop here, and I'm not ending the video stream yet. I'm gonna show another one of his videos. I think I have a theory about it. I've watched a couple of his videos now, but I think I've got a theory, and I'll explain towards the end that why he keeps repeating. And it's not like he's got a tiny fucking subscriber amount. Put that shit in the middle of the screen. Do you see that shit? That's massive. I'm gonna pull up another video here, not on my responding list here, because I've already seen all these. And if I'm right, then my god, am I a genius figuring this pattern out.
So this is a video that
Sorry, I'm gonna rewind. I'm going to take a step back, let this play for a bit, and then talk for a while, like I've been doing before. And that's gonna be sort of what I'm doing from now on. 3, 2.
So this is a video that I don't relish making, and I'm not trying to cause drama or start arguments or attack anyone, but I really think there is an important conversation that has to be had between Shoe on Head and my friend Short Fat Taku. I've known both of these people for a very long time, since Gamergate and probably before in fact, and I like both of them very much. I really do like both of them. But it's become obvious that Shoe on Head is becoming radicalized towards communism. And in fact, I, with my burner account on Twitter, have tweeted at her, look, dude, by the end of the year at this rate, you're going to be a communist. And she replied with never, and then deleted that tweet. And all we see now is this radical cascade into what appears to be just full communism. And I'm just staggered by it. And it's I don't understand her objection to woke politics without also not being a communist. Because woke politics are the apotheosis of communism. They're communism applied to everything. There is no possession, no boundary, no stopping something. And this is something that she really should think about. I mean, this is a great example, right? This is where this thread begins, and I'm going to take you through it because it's important. So Shu says, on Jezebel.com, obviously, the worst of the woke, say, on thinner bodies, the strawberry TikTok dress skews a tiny bit fascist. To which Shu rightfully says, what? Nonsense take. Absolute nonsense take. I mean, this is the article in question, and I mean, it's this bit here. This is the precise sort of dress that Liesel from The Sound of Music would have worn to chase a burgeoning Nazi around a gazebo at night. On thinner bodies, the dress skews a tiny bit fascist. Unreal. Unbelievable. Ridiculous proposition. And so someone replies, can we please leave 2015? Don't forget you're here forever. And this is very 2015 as well. This is an embarrassingly 2015 position to have. But then Short Fat Taku's secretary on Twitter says it's also tiresome. I wish America figures out universal healthcare so the rest of the left can be jettisoned into the fucking sun. The socialists, the tankies, the woke scolds, the SJWs, all of them. Yes. I mean, I think that a kind of populist, patriotic left is definitely possible, but that cannot be rooted in Marxism. It cannot be rooted in socialism. And all of these things are. All of these things are rooted in Marxism. And so Shu says, one of these things doesn't belong. No, it does. All of these things belong. Socialism is the root of all of these problems. Because socialism, in the modern sense, in the 18th and 19th centuries, there were pre-Marxist versions of socialism. But Marx has conquered that particular area of debate. All socialism now is essentially Marxism, and any of the social...
3. Well, I counted 3. You might find more, but 3 instances of repeating yourself. I like him. I like some of the content he's put out. He's got interesting takes. There are problems with his interesting takes, but most of them are very interesting and pique my interest. In this one case, you have the problem of he said, she said. She said. Wow, I can't speak. She said, yes. And I don't think he's wrong, again. Like, he's got some of the right opinions I agree with. I disagree with removing any or saying these ideas are bad, because you can take parts of an idea and make a better idea out of it. But with leftism and socialism, topics I well, I haven't really talked about socialism a lot. Socialism is applying stupid things like, oh yeah, give everyone X, give everyone $1,000 a month. That would not work, because then everything is $1,000 more. I went through a government class. Anybody who says that did not go through a government class, or at least not as a good one. Because any government teacher who's a good government teacher would tell you, hey, the economy is not a political system. The economy is its own thing, and if you tie it to a political system, we have not done that here in the US, mind you, if you tie it to a political system, both will fail. Communism has killed countries. The only communist country that's still around is China. And that is about as fucking bad as it gets. Oh, well, what about dictatorships? They're usually, packaged in with it. Yeah, but they're a separate thing, and I'll talk about them just in a second. I need a drink of tea first. Why does communism always fail? Because it ties, same with socialism, it ties them together. It makes social moves while tying that to the economy. So it takes away freedoms, which is bad enough, but it also ties the economy to a political system, meaning it's bound to fail. Even if you have all the people who believe in this social crap 100% working 100% of the time to build shit and send it out, eventually your economy will fail because recessions happen. And here's the thing about recessions. Recessions can only be fixed if the economy is not tied to the political system, as far as I understand it. See, again, I'm not an expert on the economy or anything. I just know this shit by going through a basic government class. So I'm sorry, if you're stupider than me and you can't realize that, and okay, he's not getting the reason why communism and shit fails and why it's so seductive. Because it promises you utopia, but it's really going to give you hell on Earth. So, yeah, it's not worth it. And it's not like, I'm disagreeing with everything the dude's saying and I've got to pause it every 4 seconds. Shit, I'll let him speak for a minute 18, or 3 minutes 18. I'm going to let him speak some more because I do agree with his views, I just don't think he goes far enough with them. You cannot delete ideas, though. That removes freedom of speech. He's not advocating for that. No, he's advocating for the social destruction of socialism. And that's the reason it's so seductive, because it promises you all this good-sounding shit. Oh, we'll build a utopia off of your back. But it gives people money each month, right? Which sounds like a good idea, right? Everyone's getting a basic income. Everyone can live. They live in nice houses. No, that's not how it works. The economy, since it's not tied to our political system, the instant these social changes are brought about, will die. Because nobody's working. Why should I work when the government's paying all my bills? Oh, well, rent would raise, right? Like, you'd have an increase in prices equivalent to that. Not at first. And if it's enough at first, it'll be enough forever, is what humans are designed to think. So, instead of allowing people to be free, they advocate for the chains to be put back on. Let's enslave everyone. Nobody's, everyone's equal. We enslave everyone. And then, people are like, oh, racism exists. Yeah, it still exists. You can't get rid of 100% because some people are always going to be racist. Doesn't matter what you do or say. You can limit free speech to the point where you can't say the N-word. Nobody can say the N-word, but other than that, all you're doing is making it worse because you're making the racist people retreat instead of bringing them out into the light. You don't fight racism by making it illegal to say shit. You fight racism by making it so the racists actually have facts and knowledge, and you slowly give them more of that. And it's not like it's hard shit to do either. It's really easy. All you have to do is be like, no free college, because college is a scam, we all know that. But you do is you don't have the government give people more shit, you have them give them less. Okay, Social Security. I agree with Social Security. A bit of your tax money goes towards Social Security. Fine, that's great. That works out. Okay, the math works. But we also are paying, in my opinion, not enough to cover what we already are fucking doing. We have debt that's constantly increasing. A constant increase of debt is a bad thing. So what do? You balance the fucking budget. We need people who are good with money, who their job is entirely to balance the budget without greed. Why? Because you ain't getting a fucking cut of the pie at the end of the day. And after the balance is at 100%, and you have the military saving up money in case of a fucking war, and you have all these departments who are spending just a sliver of what they're getting and storing the rest, or spending a majority and just saving a sliver. Either way it works. And that eventually leads to a system that's self-sustaining. 200% is not the fucking answer. It's to go back. It is to limit what everyone's getting. It is to shrink the portion of the pie. Not grow it. Not make it more. Not keep borrowing. We are going to collapse if we keep fucking borrowing. Mark my words, Go back in, 2022 when all this shit's settled and watch this video. And if I predicted everything, booyah. If I didn't, shit. But it will happen. If we keep spending more and more money, it'll continue to happen. Our military's getting way too much. Our, fucking education system's getting too little, but it also needs to be performance-based. Instead of, oh, your students are doing poorly, it should be, oh, your students are doing great? Well, here, have more money. Because that encourages schools to get better students while raising standardized testing scores. I don't think standardized testing's a good measure, but it's, better than nothing. Anyways, back to the video.
Socialists and say, well, I'm not a Marxist socialist. Okay, yeah, you're an irrelevant socialist. No one's listening to you. But so, the Sort Fast Haku secretary says, wait a second, Shu. In the Carlin debate, you said you didn't want to dismantle capitalism, just fund a broader safety net with taxes, and I agree with you on that. And I agree with her on that, to a certain extent. There's a deeper conversation. But anyway, have you actually gone full property expropriation? And instead of answering, she says, that doesn't mean the socialists are bad. Now, that's very interesting, isn't it? Have you gone full property expropriation? That doesn't mean the socialists are bad. Well, I can't help but completely agree with Dev's secretary here. It absolutely means the socialists are bad. Dude, the Nazis were like, we're more moral and more deserving of your property because of our race, and the socialists are, we are more moral and more deserving of your property because of our class. They're both evil. Spot on from Dev. Spot on. He is. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. He is fantastic. It doesn't matter if individual socialists are friendly people. I'm sure some individual fascists were too. I mean, there are, Richard Spencer, his whole shtick was being polite and debonair and upper class. Like, it's anyone can put on a friendly face when dealing with whoever they're dealing with. But as he says, but the hard line of extremism on the right is state worship and racial supremacy, and the hard line of extremism on the left is property expropriation. He's completely correct. Now, he gets into a bit of an exchange with some smooth-brained guy who knows nothing about this, and then asks her about a stream that was done on some small communist channel called The Serfs. He says, right before you guys went on the Surf stream and went, hi guys, wow, this is cool, they were talking about the revolution, how to kill their opponents, and what to do with the cops afterwards, etc. Me and Dev were watching this together because we couldn't believe just the stuff that they were saying, and then people like Anthony Fantano went on, Your Movie Sucks went on, and it's like these guys are openly discussing murder and widespread theft until everyone's property is owned by the state. And people are just going on that like this is normal. And he says, would you go on a show where Nazis talked about how best to kill the Jews? What the fuck are you doing? I don't think she's responded to this, which is disappointing. And he says, listen, I'm not trying to BTFO own you. I'm trying to tell you that the people you hang around with, they're not good moral people. This is like when Chris Ray Gun made excuses for Richard Spencer in 2016 out of ignorance. I hope it is for you too. And I recall this. I recall watching Chris Ray Gun's response to this. But in 2016, no one knew who Richard Spencer was. And so, like, when he's saying, like, hail Trump, hail our people, and everyone's like, he's a Nazi, you're conditioned to be like, look, whoever they're saying is a Nazi is probably the Nazis. It's the ultimate in the boy crying wolf. And that was, totally understandable that Chris Ray Gun didn't just go, oh yeah, this guy's a Nazi, because you didn't know. I mean, he did sound a bit Nazi-ish now that you think back on it. But again, once so many people have been accused of being a Nazi for such a long period of time, it's crying wolf. You have to take this with a pinch of salt. Turns out that was the case with Richard Spencer. But it's also the case that the socialists are bad. Like people like Vorst, people like the Serfs. These are people who will kill people if given the opportunity. I mean, they just sit there talking about it. I'll get some clips and.
You know what? I've got to say this. He's not wrong. Again, he's not wrong. Just because I correct him on some points doesn't mean he's completely wrong. No. It's like when you correct grammar and think that's a fucking fix for their actual points. Unless they're like 12-year-olds, in which case correcting their grammar is the only fucking way to get through them. You use the wrong form of there, so your point's fucking garbage. No, honestly, if somebody were to walk up to me on the street and tell me, hey, I watch your content, my instant response would be like, how the fuck do you know my mic's too shitty for you to know? But here's the problem. When you get people who are like openly talking about murder and shit and conspiracies, because I occasionally watch conspiracy channels where they're like, the government's run by lizard people, because that's funny as shit to watch. You cannot then go and stand on moral high ground. You have to accept everything they say with a grain of salt, like he said. But like, I genuinely think if like you gave them the power to do it, they would. But they should not have that power. If you harm anybody, you are inherently evil and you deserve to die. Minus feelings and shit. Removing feelings from the equation here. If you physically attack somebody and they are hurt to the point where they could die, you have forfeited your life right to live. But I'm not talking about, making this government-wise. No. I would never be for that. Giving the government any power, in my opinion, is too much. Giving the people too much power, now that is something scary. Because if you give the people too much power, it destroys justice. You cannot have justice and mob rule at the same time. You must have one or the other. Anytime police get attacked, my heart always goes out to the police officer. Anytime a police officer kills somebody, I assume it's justified. Now, there have been cases when I was wrong. Yeah. And I had a conversation with my sister a while back, the smart one, and I agreed with some of her points. In black communities, people are more afraid of the police than in white. I did disagree with that a bit. In poor communities, everyone's afraid of the police. Why? Because at any moment, a police officer could walk up to you and be like, "What have you got in your bag?" And then use that and then plant some shit on you. Our fucking justice system is becoming more of a joke every single fucking year. Why? Because we've got privatized prisons, meaning they have to arrest people to put in those prisons. They have to get convictions on trumped up charges just so they can still have prisons to send people to go to. Fuck that.
Put them in so you can see exactly the sort of thing they're saying.
So there's this one thing that I have been thinking about a lot in terms of like abolition and I guess like a just transition out of policing in general, but like not just in a way that like, oh, I want like former killer cops to just like, you know, have a easy life afterwards after we like defund and abolish all of that, but just more like, what do we do with people who have like the skills and the tactics to be a roving murder gang when they're not employed as police? Where does that factor into discussions of abolition? But I feel like that's pretty spicy because people don't want to think about cop.
Shit.
And,
Yeah,
like,
that's not
the
cancelable for me.
after.
That's just real talk.
Yeah, that's sensible. I mean, the one reason that I'm not for prison abolition is what will we do with the cops?
It's a fair question.
I'm a little nervous to ask it sometimes, especially on Twitter, because it's definitely not a place that's known for nuance. And I don't really like typing out. Typing out.
So what they're saying, and they're unknowingly saying this, is they want justice for the people who've been harmed. I'm not protecting them at all. Fuck them. But they also want mob rule. So, you know, murder gangs in the street would be their murder gangs. Their sponsored Nazi murder gangs. Not these other people's. No, fuck that. I don't want that to happen. But my murder gangs, yes, totally support. What the fuck are these people doing? And he's probably going to mention it because he picked out the clips. But sometimes he doesn't mention shit like that, and it's a little bit confusing why the fuck he doesn't.
Like all the things that I'm thinking, but yeah, it's just something that I'm like, wait, have we thought about the other end of I'm nervous to ask it sometimes, especially on Twitter, because it's definitely not a place that's known for nuance, and I don't really like typing out like all the things that I'm thinking. But yeah, it's just something that I'm like, wait, have we thought about the other end of these things? Because with revolution, there's always counter revolution. So, and I'm nervous because we're not a solid. I guess we're not a solid group with ammunition and tactics and training where, you know, if we needed to defend ourselves, right? Not yet. Yes, I want to make that clear. Not yet, but I just like I don't see it in my immediate vision. So I'm wondering like how does that even happen? I think that's the cancelable part. Is just like I might sound a little defeatist.
I guess from like the perspective of like where I sit politically, I don't necessarily think that's a defeatist attitude. I think that's a pretty like legitimate question. I think a lot of people.
The fuck are these people doing? They're stupid. Sorry, like, it's hurting my brain. No, humanity as a whole is the only species on this planet that literally survived to the point we did by being slightly smarter than everyone else, and by having endurance to run after animals until they died. Well, you get all tired and you gotta sit down. Oh, that's so sad. We've got endurance enough to walk after you at a medium pace and keep following you and track you because we have intelligence. And that's how we got to here today. These stupid fucking Neanderthal people have somehow come back. I have no fucking clue how. We genocided them. Anyways, I will be back. Okay, sorry, I had to take a break to do some other things like clean out the dryer. Back to our video.
People do tend to get caught up in the sort of like fantasy world of like what it is to like do the armed thing or to do like an insurrection or to like be like anti this, anti that, and not actually like ask, well, like we have people within our society that are important, like what do we do with them or like what can we do? And so I don't think that's cancelable. I think that's a
Obviously, he's suggesting that we cancel culture everyone. Good. It is up like it should be. Okay, so these people should not be, angrily going after. I agree with his slow, methodical approach to, but he never proves them wrong. Fuck. Maybe I'll find wherever he got this clip from and fucking respond to it.
It's a very reasonable thing, and I think people just need to have this conversation. I think a lot of people personally are just uncomfortable with revolution, like in general, because like there are people that are going to lose more, like even like we see this at protests, right? So like you'll have like white people protesting, but then like if there are like people like BIPOC people at the same protest, they're going to get like higher forms of reciprocity than like white protesters. So you have to like consider, like, is your activities going to get like
You'd open a drink first. God fucking damn it, shit. Can you just not bother me while I'm recording for like 5 fucking minutes? Somebody else's car. Getting back to this. It is still within my personal belief system that these people... Insurrection's not the answer. Every time somebody says insurrection, but there are more important people in our society, I always go, well, thank you, Nazi. Because that's basically what they're being. So are some people who are more important in our society, they are one step removed from Nazis. I don't give a shit what side of the political spectrum they fall on. They are one step away from Nazis. Why? Because you can use that to justify racial violence. Oh, you're not a blue-eyed Aryan soldier, so you must die. Fucking... Really? Anyways, I'm gonna let the clip speak for itself from now on.
those more vulnerable populations like in trouble. So yeah, it's just the nature of that. So yeah, I don't think it's cancelable. I think it's
validation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no.
feel like that's like yeah, like a big thing. Like I know friends who will like talk about like revolution as if it's like, yeah, no, like this will be like an easy thing to like get like so many people on board with, as if it's hard for like left-wing candidates to even get like elected, let alone like how many people do you think are actually willing to die in a civil war to fight for those, let alone like if they aren't even voting for them. Like it is such a far away goal that yeah. Like, not that it's, like, wrong to want to, like, be thinking about that, but also to, like, act as if that's, like, a far-gone, like, easy thing that we'll get to in any reasonable amount.
So, basically what he's saying is he wants millions to die for no fucking reason. Great argumentation, my dude.
Time, I think, is, yeah, very unrealistic.
It's actually incredible that a bunch of people are getting on board with murderous extremists who actually have the intention of overthrowing capitalism, taking everyone's property, and making us all serfs of the state. That is literally what a socialist government does. It removes your property rights, so it removes your ability to have an income independent of the government, the socialist one-party dictatorship government, and they will determine every economic aspect of your life from this point onwards. This is awful. Awful in every fucking way. And so when she was just like, well, the socialists, that doesn't mean socialists are bad. No, that does mean socialists are bad. That's why people flee socialist countries. Socialism is not universal healthcare. That's not what it means. The Scandinavian countries are not socialist. European countries are not socialist. You don't win in these countries by calling yourself a socialist. Jeremy Corbyn had a landslide defeat from calling himself a socialist. Socialists are something abstract, ideological, revolutionary, and dangerous. The 20th century has shown us this. Socialism is the most dangerous thing that humanity has ever created, and you're accidentally falling into it because these assholes on the radical left are love bombing you and saying, well, this is the only way you're going to get universal healthcare. It's the only way. No, it's not the only way you're going to get universal healthcare. Like, all of Europe didn't become socialist, and we still have universal healthcare. This is not the only way to do things, and I don't think it's going to get done. I think that Donald Trump's going to win significantly because of this sort of slide towards the radical left. But dude, you've got to ask yourself, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What are you trying to go for? I mean, ask them honestly what they want, what their ideal world looks like. And I tell you what, man, it's going to involve guillotines, which is what we're seeing in Portland, the most radical expression of socialism. Because, shoot, and I have to stress this Marx thought socialism was merely a step on the way to communism. The point is that we abolish private property, first of all by collectivizing it all within the power of the state, and then educating the populace, apparently, to no longer needing the state, and the state withers away, and we're left with our communist utopia where nobody owns anything. Never works out, nobody ever gets past the collectivizing all property and tyrannizing an entire society, which is why the socialists look exactly like the fascists in practice. Exactly. And it always does. Every socialist country looks exactly that way. And it's why they've got...
Sargon? I'm using his on-screen tag here. You're not wrong. Socialism cannot work, and we've seen it not work in several countries. Venezuela is one of those countries where it failed. And saying that it cannot work is right. Communism kills. Communism's more deadly than Nazism. I'm just going to stick with Nazism. Nazism. Look up the death count for each country during World War II. Germany will be eclipsed by Russia. Oh, well, they sent more soldiers. No. Look up the facts. Do your own research here. Because, yeah, I might be wrong, you know. But if you do look up those tallies and I'm right, well, your time was well spent. But if you don't look up those tallies and I'm wrong, or you think I'm wrong, because I know I'm right, then you've just wasted everyone's time, so get the fuck off the internet or, you know, stop jacking off and focus here for a second, my dude. Come on. I agree with him. Radical leftism is a problem. The other problems come from, well, social issues. Problems that, you know, nobody else is going to tackle, so why not me? Why not, you know, me at all, you know? Like, he's not going to cover this shit that I cover. I'm not calling him a pussy because of it. No, he's just different than me. Anyways, let's continue.
Guillotines. Just, again, the French Revolution was the first communist revolution. The Paris Commune is the first example of this. And they're burning an American flag, man. Are you on board with people who burn American flags? Are you in favor of lighting the symbol of your country on fire? What? And it's not the flag itself. Who gives a fuck? They're burning your flag. They're burning the symbolism of it. They're burning what it represents, which is individual liberty. your personal rights, and part of your rights is owning your property. I mean, do you think your property should be appropriated? Do you think it should be taken away from you? Can you find a way to defend the United States of America at this point? That's what you...
Fuck it, I'm gonna make a video called In Defense of America. Fuck it, I'm done. My next video is going to be that. So, love you all. See you next time. This has been LaserCat Lefty, signing out. Have a good night. Or day, or whatever fucking time you're watching it.